Hey, yo, Neil. Hey, what's up? I got you. Got you, man. R.I.P. Grammy. Free my brother. It's free till it's backwards.
All right, we're here. It's fresh. It's going. We're here at another edition of On the Road at the Maui Invitational. We are excited to be here with you. Before I begin, I want to make sure that I thank our host, our sponsors, our premier sponsors, Bowman Medical Group, offering comprehensive services for adults, adolescents, and couples, all under one roof. Go to bowmanmedicalgroup.com to learn more about their services. In My Match Development Group, building neighborhoods, supporting people, growing potential. We create interconnected communities. Go to mymatchdevelopment.com to learn about the way that they're changing communities. So it's great here. I'm here with my co-host who've been riding with me hard here, Darnell and Joy. How y'all doing? How y'all doing out there?
I'm
Darnell's
doing great.
okay. Joy's out there. How you doing, Joy?
I'm doing great. Loving
Now
it
y'all,
in a,
y'all long RSG people got to know Joy. So Joy, go ahead. Y'all know that. Go on, Joy.
I'm having a great time in Vegas, out at the Maui Invitational. It was so great. It was such a great, fun day and bright day of basketball. I had to bust out my Maui gyms.
You are so excited. What's great about coming to these events is that they have all these little swagger things that you can do at the beginning, and Maui Gym, the sponsors of that, are able to, you got the sunglasses, and Joy is a Maui Gym guru. Like, she's the one, she'll tell you about these. I didn't know nothing about the game, but she took me through, and I got my own. I got to start wearing my, see, the producer. Got to take my glasses off here, put mine on. Boom.
Darnell, where's yours? Where's yours, Darnell? Come on.
It's somewhere over here. It's somewhere.
The youngest trying to figure it all out. Now I can't see. I can't see it. I'm to think about. I can't. We get some prescription ones coming, so I'll be able to rock those all the way live with y'all. But it's been a great kind of first day on the game, and so we're excited to be here doing what we do and having a lot of fun with this as well. So it's one of those things where we couldn't do it without our sponsors again, without Bowman Medical Group and My Match, who have been great for us. So in our opening segment, as we try to get things going, we have our Reed Insurance Group is the sponsor of this opening segment. I just want to get your overall Red Insurance Group. Sorry about that. Maurice is going to kill me. We're going to be interviewing him. Talk a little bit about your initial impressions of the tournament. Joy, I'll start with you. Just
All
based
right.
raw. What's your initial impressions of the tournament so far?
Although we weren't in Maui, it was a bright day of basketball. Um, had some surprises, but I do miss the small auditorium.
Yes.
There was a lot of people, but it wasn't as loud. It wasn't as comfy by being right next to someone because there's a lot of space, but still a great day of basketball.
You hit it off. I mean, any of you who are listening, if there's a sporting event to go to, you got to go to the Maui Invitational when it's back at Lahaina and at the Civic Center. It feels like history's in the building, right? Anytime like something's going to happen, you're on top of each other. The locker rooms are so small; they have to kind of come dressed already. They're coming downstairs to the arena. It's just something about that arena that you kind of miss. And then I want to shout out the food that they got over there is incredible. And just the hospitality. But we'll be back soon with that. But that's a great observation. Darnell, what's your kind of initial observations?
Well, it was fun. It was a fun experience. Day one, we got to see some good basketball, some good teams in there. Houston was looking, they looking like they could make a Final Four run again. Oregon played well. I mean, yeah, it was just a good overall experience. Good basketball, especially like sitting behind the benches. It just brought a different element. Listening to assistant coaches yell out their coaching points and stuff during the game, and seeing the timeouts and stuff. It was just a different angle to watch the game at.
And you got a chance to meet a couple of different folks while you're here. Darnell getting fresh in the game. You had a chance to meet Mike Schmidt and Jay Billis and try to rub shoulders, right? How was that?
Yeah, it was cool because I've been watching Mike Smith stuff for years since he was he always does little film breakdowns. I remember watching his film breakdown on Anthony Edwards when he was in college, and Trey Jones and all those guys from a couple years ago. And then of course I watch the ones that he does that he puts out now. Yeah, I watch those things faithfully, and he's a guy. He knows his stuff. Like he breaks the game down, and he makes it interesting. He makes it digestible for the average basketball fan. So yeah, Mike Smith is one of the best.
And his ability. I mean, one I noticed, like his global knowledge and talent is off the hook. I mean, you have some people who are gurus, like who are gurus for international players, and then people who are more gurus domestically. But he's balanced either way. And he gives you. I mean, it's like he is living the game. And I'm also happy to see you get a chance to connect with him, because I think you're both nerds, and so it's always good two nerds to get together and kind of get in it. All right, so enough with that. We're going to get into kind of what we saw yesterday. It opened up with the Badgers going against the Aggies of A&M. The Aggies came out the gate, hit them in the mouth, and I was a little nervous about Bucky. Bucky had fans in the building, and they looked like they were staggering. And then they go on this incredible run. They were down, I believe, 31-17 and go on a run into the half. They're leading 35-34. And Johnny Davis is, the young star coming off injury, is made some things happen. But that was a very interesting game. Joy, what were your thoughts, watching both the Aggies and the Badgers?
Well, the Aggies came out with a punch. And we thought Wisconsin was knocked out, but they came alive and punched back, because then the Aggies couldn't come back. So it was pretty interesting. Good game, though. I mean, at first we were like, whoa, but good game. But Wisconsin pulled it out, and the Aggies were on the floor.
Darnell, you and I were sitting on the side of the floor watching that game. I know we both were like, I don't know, we're behind the Aggies bench, by Texas A&M's bench, and coordinated. Buzz is on Buzz. Buzz got the shirts, he's flexing. Everything worked right. Like he is, like he's like on point. The guys know when to stand up, and you felt like, okay, Buzz has got his team rocking. What did you notice through the course of that game?
What I noticed was Wisconsin was able to kind of settle things down and control the tempo more. Well, once they started to defend better on, their defense started settling in because they started hitting shots. You know how it goes playing defense. It's a lot better. It's a lot easier to defend a team when they have to take the ball out the net. You know what I'm saying? When they have to inbound the ball after a made shot, you can get your defense set up. So it's easier to defend against when your defense is set than defending in transition. And I think that was a difference because their defense was able to get set. They were able to slow down the transition points, and they're able to settle down as well, because at the beginning, Texas A&M was I think they were bothering them a little bit with their pressure, and they were doing some things like they were doing a lot of like trapping and stuff like that, and their Wisconsin was they. I don't want to say they were shocked by it, but it was an adjustment to make. And once they started selling into the game, they were able to find their footing.
Yeah, I think initially Texas A&M were playing their game,
mm-hmm.
Then Wisconsin took over and played their game.
Yeah, and one thing about Wisconsin's a bigger team, so
Yeah.
they were getting a lot of post ups early, and Texas A&M was doing a good job of doubling and and rotating, just scrambling out of the double team, rotating out. And at the beginning, Wisconsin just wasn't hitting shots, and once the shots started falling, it made you got to make a decision. Do you want to double down and leave the shooter and just kind of try to scramble out of it, or do you want to just leave the postman 1-on-1? And that predicament got a little harder towards the end of the game, and Wisconsin was able to score more reliably.
Yeah, I thought they had a point. I believe when it was shortly after they were down 31-17. I think assist off Johnny Davis hit Brad Davison for a three, and that kind of got a run. Like you said, they started to get some confidence in the shot, and they normally play well when Brad is scoring from outside, has his confidence going as well, especially with all the new faces they have. They're trying to adjust with this team and trying to get things settled. I thought they did a good job, and you can tell Buzz was upset because it took him about 9 hours to get to the press conference. We had the next game was well on. He didn't even make it out there until late. And then the second game, the Junkyard Dogs, as Youngin would say, they put paws and feet on the Bulldog. As he said at his halftime thing, what'd you say at the halftime? That was a great statement.
You said, how you feel about this? I said, it's like seeing your favorite dog get hit by a truck. And I didn't know, I didn't come up with that. I didn't come up with that. Black Fight Fan came up with that a few years ago, and I just stole that. But but yeah, I thought it encapsulated the moment because they started the game out, and we talked a little bit in the post game presser about being fast starters. You know what I'm saying? Getting out to an early lead, and man, Houston. Defensively, their defensive intensity, they really took over that game from the very get-go. And you got to take your hats off to them because usually they're always a good defensive team. Houston, that's their identity of defense, but they usually don't shoot the way that they did today. Well, in prior years, but this year they're shooting the ball a lot better, and that's going to be a tough team to beat come tournament time.
Joy,
their defense was stifling from the beginning.
Yes. Go ahead.
It just seemed like Butler couldn't get anything going. As noted in the post-game conference, they didn't bring their energy. They brought a little bit in the second half. They made a little comeback, but Houston's defense just kept shutting them down. That defense is solid.
And I know you asked them. I believe you asked Kelvin Sampson. I think you asked him a question just about, or maybe he made a statement around the turnaround. You and I talked a little bit about that afterwards, and you kind of cracked up because you worked with folks in this developmental, just kind of thinking about how people treat success. You and I talked a little bit about his response to the question about being up and then Butler going on a little run. I don't know if you want to share that.
He was, they were up by 20-something,
yes,
and they let up.
Yeah.
And as he said, they're human beings. They're gonna let up. We're not gonna win by 40 because it's human nature to give up, to let up. We might chill a little with Bruce. But the funny thing was, he woke their ass up again, and they kept going. But yeah, it's funny because if they didn't let up and be human, they could have beat them by 40. But human nature, they let up. They let them kind of sneak back in. And, I was watching that game too, and I'm like, oh, what did he say during halftime? Because they got a little spark in them. But I think it was that stifling defense that shut their ass down.
Yeah.
Said no. But yeah, if they didn't let up, they probably beat him by 40. But Kelvin Sampson, what I like about him is he real.
Yes.
He not abrasive real, but he real. He said, come on. first of all, they're kids and they're human beings and they're not perfect and they're gonna let up. But they still finished strong. And it was a fun game to watch because their defense. Butler could not do anything. I mean, it's almost to the point where like you wonder if they were basketball players. They couldn't make a shot to save their soul.
And that it was the kind of like that is the Coach Jordan, you could tell he was dejected. Was it Bolden was dejected, very dejected. He scored like their first 11 points. He was the only one playing that. And Darnell, you and I talked about that. And how do you? And we'll get into like looking at it today, but you could tell he had no answers for Houston, and that's a tough place to be in as a coach. Because one of the things he did talk about the energy level, but I mean, you and I were watching it. It was like there were no moves he could make to adjust that. Like,
at the end of the day, what do you like? At the end of the day, what do you do? Like they were switching everything. Yeah. They weren't really creating any advantages, and when a team is switching like that, you're gonna have to beat them 1-on-1. I mean, that's the point of switching, like the ball screens. And like you said, Bolden, he was the creator, and he was able to start getting going. But other than that, nobody else could really take their matchup. So that was I think that was the big sticking point there.
Yeah, I mean, you got to really look to see who the dogs are right now. That's one of those things. And it's interesting because a coaching friend of mine really get some insight. He said a lot of times young coaches get caught up with so much of the X and O's in their strategy that they forget that part of their practice time is really addressing that issue of energy. And you get that from Kelvin Sampson. They find a balance. They create a competitive nature in practice that is not just about the X and O's, because they realize at a certain point when you're playing against great teams going to take away the first or second thing you do. Then you got to figure out, do you got to kind of cast that just compete, right? I think Gino's done that with UConn, and I think Don Staley's done that with South Carolina. Some of these great teams, when they play each other, at some point, do you got the dogs that just figure out how to win? And I think he was looking out on the floor saying, where are my dogs at? Right, literally. Bulldogs, the only dog I saw was the mascot. And so he, that's the gut check time. And what's great about this tournament, you don't have a lot of time to turn around. You got them dogs got to wake up quick. And so
they play the first game today at 11:30. They're playing an hour and a half.
They don't have a lot of time. He better give us some dog biscuits for breakfast or something. But somebody's going to get up. That's a hard thing to coach. You can coach turnovers. You can coach like technical things. It's hard when you're coaching. You got to figure out if you got dogs. And so that's the part that's really crazy about that. Well, Darnell, we'll get you on this because you're the main guy, covered on this one with Oregon and Chaminade, the Silver Swords. I can hardly ever say that thing.
I was about to say, I looked at that, I was like, what school are you talking about?
Yeah.
versus
yeah. I put up that stuff. I'm confused. You probably didn't pay attention to it. But, it's Chaminade is great because historically, that's what's so great about it. You got to have a host team. They've been a host. But since this has been taken over by ESPN, they don't play every year. They play every other year. And it's good that for once they get to travel. If you think if any benefit for those young players, those players get the chance to come out, travel, get on the road and be part of this is a great thing. They get up against the Ducks who are trying to figure out how to get things on track. What's your assessment since you were a primary person kind of watching this?
Well, Chaminade had a good run in there, but at the end of the day, the class settled out, you know what I'm saying? If the water found its level and Oregon was able to impose their will, especially on the defensive end, I mean, they're making things difficult for Chaminade. They really were. And one guy that really impressed me was number 22 on Oregon, Frank. I forgot what his last name was. Frank, number 22. Mm-hmm. Man, this dude brings the energy. He looks like I had the privilege of sitting behind the bench, and you could just feel it. Like I never heard of this dude. I don't know this dude, but you can tell this dude is the consummate professional. Like this guy is an excellent teammate. This guy I would take on my team no matter what sport we playing any day of the week. This guy was getting after it. He was giving great energy. you could tell like the minute I don't think he started, but the minute he touched the floor, the game changes. You know what I'm saying? The energy
Frank
of his team.
Kepning.
Yeah, Frank Kepner. Yes, he just he brought something extra to the team, like something like in Michigan, a name that you would know was like Shawnee Brown. It was the same. It's the same type of idea. He really. Well, they didn't really need much inspiration because they was doing their thing. But man, when that switch flipped, and I think that's what really was sparked
Well,
the game.
I think UCLA. I mean, we watched UCLA a couple years ago, and they were struggling. And was it Jaquez who came in?
Jaime Jaquez, yeah.
Yeah, he came in like they were struggling, and our guy Mick was on something. Like he had officially said it was tryouts, and he put him in like the second half. I think he had like a double. He was like he started him. He was not starting at that point, and he put him in the second half, and he was like, and the energy of that team just changed. You remember that, Joy?
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
they put in that second half, and in like he a star was born, and he was just balling, and you could feel the energy.
And when Mick said we got tryouts, he said the only one on the team right now is Hawkins. Jaime Hawkins. He said, you know what? He the only one making the team. So that energy was straight up strong for the team to do something, but nobody else was doing anything. But yeah, the energy is all starts with one person.
All starts with, and you got it's in tournaments like this that you find that person. So we wrapped up the night with probably the best game of the day. We had the Gales and we had the Irish. And them Irish fans near the bench was going back and forth with them Gale fans. We over there laughing, Darnell and I. But I mean, that was a battle. It was, even Coach Bray saying after the, the thing about St. Mary's, they bring that they always bring them veterans. And from guys who start out as walk-ons and then become starters. It's just, they just bring their lunch pail. And the Irish is, Irish got that, they come in with the brand and everything else. Start with you, Darnell. These are two teams that, I mean, the coaches have to be proud with the effort. But what were the slight differences between St. Mary's and the Irish that you saw that allowed St. Mary's to get that victory?
It's tough, but the guy from Australia, 4-2.
Yeah,
man, he was a problem in the post, man. He seems like he was a matchup nightmare for Notre Dame. And Notre Dame tried to go small, and they couldn't handle 4-2 in the paint. And he was a big X factor in the game. But other than that, like my man said in the press conference, it seemed like St. Mary's had better ball movement. They played more as a team. They played a little more as a team. Whereas Notre Dame, at some points, they were sticking to some ISO ball, even though they did have some success, especially in the first half. My guy, number 23, Daniel. Oh my goodness, I should have wrote this stuff down. But man, he is a bucket. He is a bucket. He had some nice moves. He was looking like a young Jerry West. No, I'm not going to go that far. I'm not going to go that far, but the moves look very similar. But yeah, they did have some success with that. But what's going to be more reliable is moving the ball, finding the open man. But then, like I said, number 42, they started finding him, and he was a problem. He's a big problem.
Yeah.
What was interesting to me. Oh, I'm sorry, Devon.
No, go ahead, Joy. You're up. I was going to you.
And in the post game, Coach Bray said, St. Mary's, you playing up against 22-year-olds, and I got, a young team. He admittedly said he trying to figure out how to get kids playing time, who's starting, so they're still working it out. So it's pretty interesting, his comments, but St. Mary's look a little polished, they look a little polished. They've been together for a long time. and Notre Dame's just still trying to figure it out.
Joy, it's interesting the way he handled that question versus the way Coach Jordan for Butler handled it. And he said something interesting. You know, there are guys who say, you know, let me play and let me show you. And our philosophy is you got to show us in practice. And
Yeah.
Right.
but you get a sense of a different kind of security. I think, you know, a couple other coaches could have said that, but it's interesting how they approach setbacks, right? And Coach Bray just seemed to be real easy in his skin around this. Like, we're gonna get there, we're gonna find this out, but maybe, you know, obviously you know, Coach Jordan was on the end of a Hail Mary, a haymaker. You know, they went down like they went against Tyson Fury, or Wilder, I would say. You know, so I know he probably was reacting a little bit different, but it was just interesting to see how they characterize their team's ability to like rebound a little bit. Did you notice that ease that some of these coaches did when the losing coaches, in terms of who handled that pressure, knowing that they only had less than 24 hours to turn around?
You talking to me?
Darn
No, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. Coach Bray, I think he handled it. I think he handled it pretty well. But other than that, for the Texas A&M, Coach Bray, I think he handled it the best out of it.
Yeah, he
Well,
probably the best. And the reason why I said that, because you find some things out. There's some teams that are going to get off the mat and start winning, and there's some teams who ain't going to win here. That's going to be a tough thing. Like, that's what's so difficult about this tournament. It can happen quick. You can go 3 straight losses, and you don't want to be that. Like, today's press conferences are going to be interesting for the people who lose, especially who are already on that losers bracket. Some tensions going to go up because you're not going to want to go home 0 for 3 in this tournament. So we'll get a sense of how these people handle these transitions. Look into today. We got interesting matchups happening today. I'll pull this all down here so I can get my rundown together. We got
our first game, the Texas A&M and Butler.
Yeah.
That's gonna be interesting because what you just said. You know, let's see how Coach Jordan can get his team going, because you know he was the one that said, "You want to play? You show me energy in practice." They said, let me play and I'll show you energy. He said, no, show it to me in practice and then you'll play. So, you know, they got killed yesterday. So let's see how they respond. But, you know, they're going up against Texas A&M and Buzz and his team.
Yep.
So that's going to be super interesting. You know, like you said too, you know, Coach Jordan was lost for words.
Yep.
He didn't know what to do.
Yeah. On another note, Chaminade coach, I mean, he took it well, but at the end of the day, I got the sense that they just happened to be here. I mean, so yeah, I don't know if they're gonna win the game. I don't know if they're gonna win the game, but yeah. So it's gonna be very interesting to see how, you know, how teams handle not winning the game in this tournament.
So Darnell, after that we got the Wisconsin-Houston game. I think this one's going to be interesting because you like boxing. Styles make fights. This got a Crawford Porter feel to it in terms of some physicality. People go like Wisconsin ain't going to be backing down that physical play. I mean, Brad Davison, former quarterback, football player, he gets under everybody's skin. This was going to be interesting because on paper, Houston's got everything. They can score. They got defense. But Wisconsin always finds a way to make you play the way they want to play. How do you look at this one?
I look at this as, I think it's a bad matchup for Wisconsin because Wisconsin does not. Well, they showed yesterday. It's interesting. They showed yesterday that they could, you know, handle the pressure, like kind of find themselves, get themselves on their feet. But I'm last year when they played Michigan. That game is just in my. That game was just a game that's been stuck in my mind for a long time. And seeing a team like Houston, the way they defend, the way they can switch 1 through 5, the athleticism of their bigs, I think it's going to be a tough outing for Wisconsin. But hey, they're going to they're going to be game. I mean, they're not going to lay down, but I definitely got Houston in this one.
I think it's going to be interesting to see how they respond to Houston's defense.
Yes. Yes.
Especially, yesterday they had such a slow start. Now you're going to have a stifling defense. Are you going to be able to respond to that? Yesterday you couldn't respond in the beginning, but today you got a stifling defense. So I hope they wake up with some Starbucks along the way.
You put it right on there, Joy. What I saw Wisconsin struggle early, and I've watched a couple other games, is that ball pressure. Sometimes it takes them a while to adjust. In a couple previous games, because they didn't have Johnny Davis, a big who got some handle, could help with some of the ball handling responsibilities. So I kind of left it off to that. But that ball pressure, because they got a young point guard. Who's a first year who can play, and these moments going to be interesting. So then Brad Davis has got to take on some ball handling skills. He's an okay ball handler, but Houston, this jump, they'll get on you. And then the bigs got to be able to handle that strong with the ball. So you're right. How they start, they got to start fast and stay with them. If they stay with them, this is kind of teams that get their confidence. I think this could be a really good game because they can ugly it up. In ways.
Yeah, the bigs are going to be the key to the game. I said the bigs are going to be the key to the game because the bigs are the outlet to the pressure. Because if they can manage, to get the ball down there and pass it inside, they can slow the game down by getting Houston in some foul trouble, get to the free throw line. Hopefully, if they can hit their free throws, they can slow the tempo down and grind it out. But I think the bigs are going to be an X factor in this game.
This Oregon St. Mary's game got a lot of question marks. It's just hard because Oregon was trying to right the ship, but I don't know if Chaminade right the ship for them, so we don't know who they are, right?
Exactly.
And so talk to me, Joy. St. Mary's again. They got a point guard who was a walk on. Tommy came up. He's good. Like these cats is hungry. They're not here.
Well,
yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I was a little worried yesterday about them. Not too worried, but I was a little worried because, they got punched in the mouth, knocked out from BYU. So how are you going to respond, even though it's Chaminade?
Yes.
Because Chaminade may be D2, but whenever they're in this tournament, they give them a hard rub, especially in the first half. So, Oregon pulled it out, but to me, like Darnell said earlier, that ain't a formidable opponent. So this is the question mark game because St. Mary's gonna come out. They even brought their crowd.
Yes.
So they're gonna come out gunning, and this is where Oregon needs to respond with as the word of the tournament, your energy. You're gonna bring the right energy. Are you gonna get knocked out again by St. Mary's? I think it's going to be very important to see how Oregon responds today. They're probably relieved they won yesterday, but it wasn't like a knockout, drag out, win. But the numbers kind of say it, but I don't think so, So I think today is going to be where Oregon has to put up or shut up.
Yeah, this is are they fools go? Are they fools go? Because Oregon, the kind of team that might take some people's money in March. See, y'all got to watch this. Y'all got to watch this tournament to see. Some people might have them in the bracket. They get real sexy. I think they might sneak into the Elite Eight, and then your lunch money's gone. So y'all be the watch. You got to watch Oregon, boy. They'll court you, get you going. They look good. They'll start warming up, and then they'll set you up. Kind of like them Dallas Cowboys. All right.
Hey.
Oh, I forgot. I got a Cowboy.
Well, you a Cowboys fan? Wait a minute.
Let's keep it at basketball here.
We bringing too much to the table right now. I digress. Chaminade Notre Dame. I think if there's a game for Chaminade to win, because that second game, we watched them. Notre Dame better come in here right. Chaminade used to get in here. They get shocked in that first game a little bit. They're usually against a top seed. Then they just said, "We here." and they have put together that game 2 is what you got to watch out for Chaminade. And so, obviously Notre Dame's going to be a heavy favorite, but they're not invincible.
Oh no.
And
guess what? Chaminade ain't got nothing to lose.
Nothing. And what they say about playing a team ain't got nothing to lose.
That's right.
You better come with your lunch pail. You better get them. You better knock them out early and keep it moving.
And it's kind of scary because Notre Dame's still trying to find their identity.
Yes. And he's still trying to work his rotations.
Yep.
In this kind of game, if it stayed close for a long time, you start feeling the pressure a little bit. It's gonna be an interesting one. Because Chaminade always struggles because they usually play a top team in that first game. But they usually try to sell. They usually sell in these second, third games. They're much more competitive games for them when you watch them play for a Division II team. All right, y'all. So when you're in the loser bracket, the winning in the losers bracket is getting to that battle for the third place game, whether you get third or fourth place. That's the winner. Like if you on the loser side, that's what you're trying to do to salvage your Maui Invitational. I'm going to start with you, Darnell. Who do you think on that loser bracket will end up in that battle for that third, fourth place game?
Texas A&M.
You think Texas A&M?
I agree.
Texas A&M and Notre Dame. Those are my two. That's going to advance, in my opinion.
Okay. Joy,
he took the words right out of my mouth. Texas A&M.
Yeah, because I think Texas A&M. Well, my fault. But yeah, I think Texas A&M. They come out fast. Butler does not. They don't start fast, and I think it could go bad again for Butler. And I think Butler is not as good of a team as Wisconsin is, and I think Texas A&M will be able to hold on once they get ahead.
Joy, looking at this first day, who do you think going to be in that championship game when we're hanging out watching here on the phone?
I got to take the gimme, Houston. They're looking pretty fine with this tournament. I think it's going to be Houston.
I think Darnell's probably on the same side of that. You think Houston?
Houston was my pick before the tournament, but yeah, they didn't do anything to mess it up. And
now
I don't see anybody else that's going.
We had you on Texas A&M, but I think you had
digressed. No, I didn't say Texas A&M was going to win the whole thing. I said Texas A&M was going to win the game.
Oh, okay.
All right. I wasn't going to say Texas A&M. No. I wasn't going to say. I said Texas A&M was going to beat Wisconsin.
All right, now
they didn't beat Wisconsin, but
we're gonna throw a shout out to our producer Lehua because she said she thought she heard that you said they were gonna win it all, but we she the dope producer. So, but I want to say this, I want to thank y'all for joining us for the review of day one here. Once again, we want to thank our sponsors, Bowman Medical Group and MyMatch Development, and our segment sponsor today, Red Insurance Group, for being us. We look forward to check us out at Real Sports Guys on all social media platforms. We're giving updates throughout the day, and then we'll do another recap in day two. We're getting ready to get over to the arena for another great day of basketball. I hope you enjoy your day of basketball with us. It's always good. We'll see you, as I always say, on the other side.
Ready for the day the Lord called on me. Them all decisions, man, they all on me. I can't hear this way from
Hey, yo, Neil. Hey, what's up? I got you. Got you, man. R.I.P. Grammy. Free my brother.